The boy's lips moved without sound through the glass of a car window. 3 words, clear as day: she's not my mom. Because Tobias Rehnquist was 8 years old and being taken by a woman who had appeared when his grandmother collapsed outside the grocery store. A stranger with a kind voice who said she was a nurse and said she would help and said he should come with her while she called an ambulance, but then walked him past the entrance toward a gray car in the far corner of the lot. And when he tried to pull away, her grip tightened hard enough to hurt, and her voice stayed sweet, but her eyes went cold and empty. And Tobias realized something was very, very wrong. What happened after a biker named Darnell Obi saw those silent words and blocked the only exit with his motorcycle, after 911 and questions the woman couldn't answer, and a boy who bit his captor's hand and ran toward the stranger who had believed him, after police discovered she was wanted in 2 states and had done this before, proved that paying attention saves lives, that bystanders can be heroes, and that sometimes 3 silent words through a window are enough to change everything. The boy's lips moved without sound. 3 words, clear as day through the glass of a car window: she's not my mom. Tobias Rehnquist was 8 years old, and he was being taken by a woman he had never seen before today. It had happened fast. 1 minute he was walking out of the grocery store with his grandmother's hand in his. The next minute his grandmother was on the ground, clutching her chest, and a woman was there, a stranger with a kind voice saying she was a nurse, saying she would help, saying Tobias should come with her while she called an ambulance. Tobias had gone because he was scared, because his grandmother wasn't moving right, because the woman seemed like she knew what she was doing. But then the woman had walked him past the ambulance entrance, past the front of the store, toward a gray car in the far corner of the parking lot. And Tobias had realized something was very, very wrong. He tried to pull away. The woman's grip tightened on his wrist, hard enough to hurt. "Your grandmother asked me to take you somewhere safe," she said, her voice still sweet, but her eyes different now. Cold, empty. Tobias knew that was a lie. His grandmother hadn't asked anything. His grandmother was still on the ground back there, but the woman was bigger than him, stronger, and no one was paying attention. No one except the man on the motorcycle. Darnell Obi was 51 years old, a retired police officer who had been riding with the Guardian Sons MC for 19 years. He had spent 26 years on the force, 15 of them in crimes against children. He had seen things that still woke him up at night, had worked cases that ended badly and cases that ended with children going home safe, had learned to read situations faster than most people blinked, because in his line of work, seconds meant everything. The Guardian Sons had been founded by retired law enforcement, men and women who couldn't stop protecting people just because they'd turned in their badges. They partnered with schools, ran safety programs, and kept their eyes open everywhere they went. Not vigilantes, just citizens who paid attention when others looked away. On this particular Saturday afternoon, Darnell was leaving the hardware store when he noticed the woman and the boy. Something was off. The boy was walking stiffly, his body angled away from the woman, like he was trying to create distance without being obvious. The woman's hand was wrapped around his wrist, not holding his hand like a parent would, but gripping, controlling. Darnell slowed his steps, watched. The boy's head turned. His eyes met Darnell's through the parking lot. Young eyes, scared eyes. And then the boy's lips moved. "She's not my mom." Darnell's blood went cold. Hit subscribe if you believe that paying attention can save a life. Comment the name of your city and share this with someone who needs to know that bystanders can be heroes. Darnell moved, not running. Running would spook her, make her act faster. He walked with purpose toward his motorcycle, which was parked between the woman's gray car and the parking lot exit. He mounted the bike but didn't start it. just sat there blocking the path. The woman noticed. Her pace quickened, pulling the boy faster toward the car. Darnell pulled out his phone, dialed 911, kept his eyes on them the whole time. 911. What's your emergency? Possible child abduction in progress. Grocery store parking lot on Miller and 5th. Gray sedan. Woman in her 30s. Boy approximately 8 years old. The boy just told me she's not his mother. I'm blocking the exit. Send units now. He hung up before they could ask more questions. Every second mattered. The woman reached her car, tried to open the back door, pushed the boy inside. Tobias resisted, planted his feet, started to yell, "Help! She's not my mom! Help!" The woman clamped a hand over his mouth. Her eyes darted around the parking lot. Wild now, calculating. They landed on Darnell. He was off his motorcycle, walking toward her, phone still in hand, her recording everything. "Let him go," Darnell said, his voice calm but caring. "Whatever you're doing, it's over. Police are on the way." "Mind your own business," the woman snapped. "This is my son. He's having a tantrum." "That's not what he said. He's lying. Kids lie all the time." Darnell kept walking closer, slow, steady, non-threatening, but immovable. "What's his name?" he asked. The woman hesitated, just for a second. But it was enough. "What's his birthday? What school does he go to? What's his favorite food?" She couldn't answer. Her grip on Tobias loosened just slightly, panic overtaking strategy. Tobias bit her hand. She yelped, let go, and he ran. Straight toward Darnell, crashing into his legs, grabbing onto his jeans like a lifeline. "My grandma!" Tobias gasped. She fell down, back by the store. The lady said she was helping, but she wasn't helping. "She took me." Darnell put a hand on the boy's shoulder. Protective, grounding. "You're safe now," he said. "You did good. You're safe." The woman stood frozen by her car, calculating her options. She could run, could try to drive away, could... Sirens, getting closer. Her face crumpled, the mask of normalcy falling away to reveal something desperate and broken underneath. She got in her car, tried to start it, tried to back out. Darnell's motorcycle was still blocking the exit. She accelerated anyway, crashed into the bike, metal screaming, trying to push through. But 2 police cars were already pulling in, blocking her from the other direction. It was over. If you're enjoying this story, hit that hype button right now. It's free, takes a second, and helps this video reach more people who need to see it. Now back to the story. The next hour was chaos. Police everywhere. Ambulances. Questions that came too fast from too many directions. Tobias's grandmother, whose name was Ingrid, had suffered a mild heart episode. She was conscious and stable, being loaded into an ambulance when Tobias found her. "Grandma!" He broke away from the officer who was trying to interview him and ran to her side. "Grandma, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave you. The lady said she was helping, but she wasn't." Ingrid grabbed his hand, tears streaming down her face. "You're here. You're okay. That's all that matters." Darnell watched from a distance, giving them space. A detective approached him, a woman named Okoye, who had the tired eyes of someone who had seen too much but hadn't given up yet. "You're the one who blocked the exit," she said. "Yes, ma'am. And you got the whole thing on video." Darnell handed over his phone. "The woman," Detective Okoye continued. "Her name is Marianne Vance. She's wanted in 2 states for attempted child abduction. She targets elderly caregivers in public places, causes a distraction, poses as a helper, takes the child while everyone's focused on the adult." Darnell felt sick. How many has she taken? 3 that we know of. All recovered, thank God. But there might be more. Okoye paused. "You probably saved that boy's life. Or at least saved him from something no child should experience. I was just paying attention. Most people don't. She looked at him with something like respect. Most people look away. Tobias's mother arrived 45 minutes later. Her name was Annika, and she had driven 90 miles per hour the whole way, breaking every traffic law in existence because her son had been on the phone crying about grandma and a bad lady, and a man on a motorcycle who had saved him. She found Tobias sitting on the back of an ambulance, wrapped in a blanket, a juice box in his hand. He looked small, shaken, but whole. "Baby," she breathed, falling to her knees in front of him. "Baby, I'm here. I'm here." "Mom," Tobias's voice cracked. There was a man. He stopped the lady. She was going to take me somewhere, but he stopped her. Annika looked around wildly, searching for someone to thank, someone to hold responsible, someone to direct the enormous emotions flooding through her. A paramedic pointed toward the edge of the parking lot, where a black man in a leather vest was talking to a police officer. She walked toward him. Tobias followed, still wrapped in his blanket, still holding his juice box. Darnell saw them coming, excused himself from the officer. "You're him," Annika said. "You're the one who—" She couldn't finish. She just grabbed him in a hug so tight it knocked the breath out of him. "Thank you," she sobbed into his shoulder. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Darnell hugged her back, a stranger holding a stranger, connected by the worst moment of her life and the best possible outcome. "I just saw something wrong," he said, "and I didn't look away. If Bike Diaries has become part of your week, consider joining the channel membership. Just a couple bucks a month keeps these stories coming. Links below. And hit that hype button if you haven't already." Now back to the story. 2 weeks later, Tobias asked to meet him again. Annika had called the Guardian Son's community line, explained who she was, what had happened, how her son couldn't stop talking about the man on the motorcycle who had saved him. Darnell had agreed to meet them at a park, neutral ground, somewhere Tobias could feel safe. He was nervous. Kids who went through trauma responded in different ways. Some wanted to forget. Some needed to process. Some attached to their rescuers in ways that weren't always healthy. He wasn't sure what Tobias needed, but he was willing to show up and find out. Tobias was waiting on a bench when he arrived. Annika sat nearby, close enough to watch, but far enough to give them space. "Hey," Darnell said, sitting down beside him. "How are you doing?" Tobias shrugged. "Okay, I guess. I have nightmares sometimes. About the lady. About not being able to get away." "That makes sense. What happened was scary. It's normal to have nightmares after something scary. Did you ever have nightmares when you were a cop?" Darnell considered the question. "Sometimes," he admitted, "when cases went bad. When I couldn't save someone. Those stuck with me for a long time." "How did you make them stop?" "I'm not sure they ever completely stopped, but they got quieter, especially when I focused on the cases where I did help, where someone went home safe because I was paying attention." Tobias was quiet for a moment. "Is that why you stopped her? Because you were paying attention?" "Partly, but also because you were brave enough to tell me. You could have been too scared, could have stayed quiet, but you looked at me and you told me she wasn't your mom. That took courage." Tobias's eyes filled with tears. "I was so scared," he whispered. "I didn't know what she was going to do. I didn't know if anyone would help. I know, but you asked for help anyway, and that's what saved you." Tobias had a question he'd been holding on to for 2 weeks. "Why did you believe me?" he asked. "The lady said I was lying, that I was just having a tantrum. Why did you believe me instead of her?" Darnell thought about that, because kids don't usually lie about things like that. When a child says they're scared, when they say someone isn't who they claim to be, I take that seriously. Adults dismiss kids too often. They assume kids are exaggerating or confused. But I've learned in 26 years of police work that kids usually know when something is wrong. They just don't always have the words or the power to do anything about it. Tobias nodded slowly. My teacher says if something feels wrong, tell an adult. But what if the adult doesn't listen? Then you tell another adult, and another one. You keep telling until someone listens, and if you can't find an adult, you make noise. You yell, you run, you do whatever it takes to get attention, because attention is what keeps you safe. Tobias looked at him. Will you teach me? Teach you what? How to stay safe, how to know who to trust, how to get away if someone tries to take me again. Darnell felt something shift in his chest. If your mom says it's okay, I can do that. The Guardian Sons run safety programs for kids. We teach awareness, self-defense, how to recognize dangerous situations. It's not about being scared all the time. It's about being prepared. Tobias turned to look at his mother. Mom, can I? Annika had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. Yes, baby, absolutely yes. The first safety class was on a Saturday. 12 kids, ages 7 to 12, gathered in the community center gym. 4 Guardian Sons members led the session, including Darnell. They taught the kids about body autonomy, about trusting their instincts, about the difference between safe secrets and dangerous secrets. Tobias sat in the front row, absorbing everything. They practiced yelling, "This is not my parent." They practiced breaking grips. They practiced running and making noise and getting to safe places. Tobias was good at it. Focused, determined. At the end of the session, he walked up to Darnell. I don't want any other kid to feel what I felt, he said, in that parking lot, not knowing if anyone would help. That's why we do this, Darnell said, so kids know that people are paying attention, that someone will help. But what if no one's there? What if there's no motorcycle man in the parking lot? Then you become your own hero. You use your voice, your body, your brain. You don't give up. You fight for yourself until help comes. Tobias straightened up. I can do that, he said. I know you can. 3 months later, Tobias was recognized at a school assembly. The mayor came, the police chief, local news cameras. They gave him a certificate for bravery, praised his quick thinking in a dangerous situation. Tobias stood at the microphone, small under the bright lights, and spoke. I didn't do anything special, he said. I was just really scared. But a man on a motorcycle saw that I was scared, and he didn't look away. He paid attention. And that's what I want everyone to learn. Pay attention. If you see something wrong, do something. Don't just walk by, because you might be the only person who can help. He looked at the back of the auditorium, where Darnell stood in his leather vest, arms crossed, smiling. That man saved my life, Tobias continued, and now he's teaching me and other kids how to save ourselves. That's what heroes do. They don't just rescue people. They teach people how to be strong. The auditorium erupted in applause. Darnell wiped his eyes and clapped along with everyone else. Thank you for watching this story about an 8-year-old boy who mouthed 3 words through a car window, and the biker who saw them and refused to look away. Child abduction is every parent's nightmare, but it can be prevented. Bystanders who pay attention, who trust their instincts, who aren't afraid to intervene. They are the difference between a tragedy and a rescue. If you see something that doesn't look right, say something. Ask questions. Call 911. Block an exit if you have to. A few minutes of discomfort for you could mean a lifetime of safety for a child. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children can be reached at 1-800-843-5678. The Polly Klaas Foundation provides resources for child safety education. Local police departments offer programs for teaching children how to stay safe. Subscribe to Bike Diaries. Hit that hype button to boost this video. And if you want to support what we do, the membership link is below. Share this with everyone who needs to remember that paying attention saves lives, that bystanders can be heroes, and that sometimes 3 silent words through a window are enough to change everything. Tobias is 9 now. He still has nightmares sometimes, but he also teaches younger kids what he learned: how to yell, how to run, how to find someone who's paying attention. He became his own hero, and he's helping others become theirs.